Hey, welcome back to the Fragaboom Show. This is episode 6, I believe. Today I'm going to talk about Super Piece number 3. What I've decided to do for Super Piece number 3 is to go back to my roots. Way back, 1987. I was a freshman in high school, taking 2 art classes, one of which was silkscreen. I was taken back by a piece of art by an artist that all of you know named Frank Miller. It was the cover of Lone Wolf and Cub number 5. Before that, my exposure to Frank Miller was The Dark Knight and Daredevil, and I remember very, very vividly how much I was impacted by The Dark Knight, especially the cover to number 2. His interpretation of characters was very unique, still is to this day. And what it really makes me think about is the philosophies that I developed back then as a young kid. So today, what I'd like to talk to you about is something, it's very simple, it's called time travel. Now, you really need to pay attention. I'm not talking Marty McFly, I'm not talking the TARDIS, I'm not talking Doctor Who, I'm not talking hot tub time machines. What I'm talking about is using the capacity of your brain to travel forward and backward through time. I know, sounds crazy, right? But this is what I'm talking about. If you truly believe in yourself and you believe you were going to accomplish the goals you plan to, are you going to be a CEO of a company? Are you going to be the genius creator of a character or ideas that inspire people? If you absolutely believe that, then you already are that person today. Okay, so time travel, however many years you think it's going to take in the future, let's say it's 5 years, 10 years, who are you? Do they address you as Mr. or Miss so-and-so out of respect? They might, because that's how you have behaved to get to that point. So you travel back in time to the present and you behave like that person. You behave like that CEO. You behave like that creative genius, and you are respectful. That way, along the path, and when you're already there in that time in the future, people will say, I remember when I met that person. I knew there was something special about them. That's time travel for the future. Let me rewind a little bit. What do I mean by behave as such? Well, what I mean by that is that your actions need to be in alignment with who that person is in the future. So, for example, the world's greatest basketball player, along the way, practiced. He studied the greats. He didn't compare himself to other people. He compared himself to himself, and he further bettered himself through practice. I'm also talking about behaving with respect around people. Don't act like an asshole. Do it right. Now, what I'm doing today for Super Piece number 3 is to time travel back in the past. When I think about who I was and who I wanted to be, and my favorite year, some people know, if you check my Spotify list, I have a whole playlist called 1989. It was my favorite year. I was doing a public access television show for KMTZ Channel 19 called Comic Review for You. In this show, I would review comics. I was an awkward teen. Some of it's quite embarrassing. I'll try to include links to that in the YouTube description so you can watch them for yourself and chuckle and feel the agony of what it was like to be 16. My point is at that particular point in time, in that year, I was being inundated with all kinds of things that I had aspired to be. I found the work of Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, Mark Silvestri. I even mispronounced his name improperly back in the day. It's funny now. Anyway, my point is if I could sit down and talk to that kid or go back in time and be him, where would I want to be now? What were the things I wanted? And I realized there were certain points in my career where I strayed off that path. I'm not knocking my time at Extreme Studios or with Image Comics, but I can tell you honestly and truly, comparison is the thief of joy. And it's also a big derailing factor on your original intent of who you want to be. I had a clear vision of who I wanted to be, and when I joined Image Comics, it changed a bit. All my doing, but it became less about the pure choices that I wanted to make, and it was more about keeping up with the Joneses and trying to be something that perhaps I wasn't. And you could probably tell on my work. People said, clone, draws like a bad whoever, right? And they were right. Instead of what I should have been doing was focusing on personal development in what I wanted to do instead of trying to be a square peg in a round hole. It just doesn't work out. Anyway, that's it for time travel, okay? Go talk to your younger self. Who'd you want to be? Are you disappointed? Are there things you would change? Are there regrets? I have no regrets. I am who I am today. But talking to my 16-year-old self, I realize there's all kinds of things I missed out on because I was comparing myself to others. Don't do it. Be who you're gonna be. Become that person in your mind. Travel back in time to the present and behave as such, and you will be. It's an impossibility otherwise. Super piece today will be Lone Wolf and Cub, and I'm going to do it on some Fabriano hot press Artistico, which means it's 100% cotton paper. I'm going to try out my Winsor & Newton Series 7 number 3. Just got it, been practicing it on the daily sketches all week. I hope you enjoy the results. Stay tuned. I leave you now with a piece that I did this week with the Winsor & Newton Series 7.